He whispers fear, he wields the sword, but he cannot silence the living word. Every drop of blood becomes a seed. Every broken heart cries out a creed. The gates of hell will not prevail. God's truth will stand, it will never fail. From martyrs to saints, their crowns are finding the right words to use for this song. I have you in mind, so it won't take so long. Love is not afraid you, but you're here, and so I love you.
Hello, everybody. I am back. Yes, I am back. I'm going to clip this to my shirt here so that it's nice and close to my face and you can hear me. I'm listening to a sermon. I'll just pause it. Yes, I still listen to Pastor Steven Anderson even to this day. Now listen to me before you start freaking out. Before you start freaking out on me about listening to Pastor Steven Anderson, listen here. He rips on sin. Okay? Let's not get it twisted. He rips on sin like no other preacher and pastor, okay? So I really like it when he rips on sin. However, I have come to realize that not everything that he says is Christ-like, okay? Some things he says is not Christ-like. For his stance on the Jews, for instance, Israel, and some other stuffs, okay? Now, aside from those, I listen to theology, okay? You guys know this about me. I like good Bible theology preaching. Why? Because I'm an intellectual, and I like that intellectual formation in my mind when I'm like stirring things around in there. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. So I like that it gets me thinking. It gets me in my Bible. It gets me asking the Holy Spirit to guide me. It's getting me discernment. It's getting me into the places that I need to be. You know what I mean? All right, now that we've had that out of the way. No need to, crucify me and stone me over listening to Pastor Steven Anderson. There's actually something else I want to listen to right now with you guys so that we can have commentary, okay? I saw it yesterday and I can't remember if I put it in one of my playlists or not, but let's go through one of my playlists just to see if it's here, because I'm looking for a specific thing that I saw that I really want to listen to with you guys. Hold on, let me see. I have to go all the way to the bottom. Let's see here. All right, this one. Sorry, it's an ad. I'll skip the ad. Just give me a second as soon as this allows me. Oh my God, why won't it let me skip? Lord have mercy.
We'll get it done right. Today on Matt Walsh Show, a sex scandal among conservative influencers perfectly illustrates why many young men are reluctant to get married and have children, but they still should, even in spite of the risks, and I'll make that argument today. Also, tragedy strikes the nation as the Washington Post lays off hundreds of useless journalists. Bill Gates tries to explain his appearance in the Epstein files, and a woke school board member brings a school board meeting to a halt so that she can lecture someone for using the term homeless. Apparently, unhoused is the preferred term.
What?
You can explain why. All of that and more today at Matt Walsh Show.
Oh my God. People really have no more common sense in this world, I swear to God. And then after this one, if we have time, which I'm hoping we will, I I wanna listen to
When the new year began, I
my
decided
other
that
favorite
one of my goals
podcast
for
after
this
this.
show this year would be to make an even more aggressive defense of marriage and family life, and to encourage people to have a lot of children. Because if we're going to save Western civilization, that is the only way to do it.
Yeah.
And these are topics that, of course, we discuss fairly often in various contexts, and for good reason. Marriage is a sacrament, it's the foundation of the family, and the family is the foundation of human society. And my plan was, and still is, to take this message, which I've been preaching for as long as I've had a platform to preach it from, and advance it in an even more deliberate way. And we were going to talk about some of the potential pitfalls, as we often do, while focusing on the importance of finding a spouse and raising a family. And that was the plan starting this week. And then the Elijah Schaefer scandal surfaced, revealing that Schaefer, a conservative commentator who is married and has children, was apparently having an affair with Sarah Stock, who's a conservative commentator, and who at the time was dating the man that she would eventually marry. This has been interesting timing because it's a story that perfectly illustrates the counter argument. The reason why so many young people are so reluctant to get married and have children in the first place. Now, as to the specifics of this scandal, I'll go into a few of the details in a moment, not because this is a drama channel, but because it's the kind of thing we must contend with if we want to make the case for marriage and family life.
Yeah.
Now, if I were to try to do a monologue right now on that topic, all the comments would be, well, what about this? You see this scandal over here? This is exactly why we don't want to get married. So let's just let's lean into that, as much as I hate that phrase. I think that those of us on the pro-family side, oftentimes, it's true to say, haven't done a good enough job of acknowledging and accounting for the enormous risks and downside to marriage that young people are confronting at increasing rates, no matter how hard they try to find a compatible, moral, Christian spouse. This is the catch-22. Our culture is decaying. In order to stop the decay, we need people to form stable and loving families, but it's harder to form stable, loving families while the culture is decaying.
Yeah.
Now, people in the red pill and so-called manosphere spaces have been making this point for a long time and have taken a lot of heat for it. I've had plenty of arguments with people on that side about this.
Yeah.
Entire shows on Netflix have been written about how awful their opinions are and how they've created this manosphere that traffics in dangerous misogyny and so on. But the truth is, when the writer's room at Netflix is so enraged about your views that they start putting you in their shows, then it means that you're on to something. Now, let's talk about this issue from the perspective of a young man. And to anyone who accuses me of only blaming the woman in this story, keep in mind that we talked about this yesterday, and I spent 20 minutes discussing why Schaefer was wrong to cheat on his wife and how married men should behave.
Did you hear me?
No. What did you say?
I just told you. We've been invited to Narrator's Theater that he built in a military base.
What?
You haven't been sleeping, have you?
I'm fine.
You haven't left the office in weeks. Did you even eat yesterday? Commander! Commander! Can't you just wait a second? Look, we can't save her if you don't.
We will save her!
I done seen this thing.
We're all worried
With
about
the
you,
last one.
Commander. Look, you can't be there for someone if you're not going to take care of yourself first. I've been telling V the same thing since she's been burning herself out on this new evolution project. Says she can't fix what happened to Dispatcher, but she will do whatever it takes to get her back.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Thanks. Scout, Freezer, you're coming with me. So are you.
Wait, me? But you know I don't leave the base.
Today you do.
Ugh, fine. But wouldn't a portal be faster? Right. Sorry. Do we have to bring him?
I mean, he has great crowd control.
This outro. What happens if you beat him?
After everything I've done, he waits until my show ends! He threw me away and took the only thing that mattered to me! Without them, I don't have anything! And he didn't even come to my show! That oh well. What? Did you sleep like a skeleton run? You should have seen their faces! The pain, the sympathy, the drama! Little did you know this man's coming from the overwhelming suffering I'm experiencing! But anyway, it seems your show needs a little work. So, how about we make a deal? Don't. If headquarters finds out we're... And I can take you to exile.
Deal.
See, I knew we shouldn't have brought him.
What happens? What is that? I don't even know.
I think that was the Umbra from the game.
Oh.
So that they don't commit those sins.
Excuse me.
So we've talked about that. Today we're going to flip it around and focus on the other side, because here's what the story demonstrates. It's not always enough to say that you should date a woman who goes to church, who says that she opposes abortion, who says that she's never slept with anyone outside of marriage, spends every day talking about conservative principles for a living, and who will, in her case, literally stand by your side in front of the Pope as he blesses both of you. A woman can do all those things and convince you that she means every word of what she's saying. She'll be a fantastic mother to your children, and then you find out one day that, in fact, she was lying to you the whole time. She was actually having an affair with her boss behind your back. She was grinning as the Pope blessed your relationship while she was thinking about her other boyfriend. And here's the thing, if you don't learn the truth soon enough, then she could, not too far in the future, walk away with half of your assets, including your house, along with alimony for life. This is not some fantastical hypothetical scenario. It's what apparently happened to the man who was engaged to Sarah Stock, who briefly went by the name Sarah Setka. Sarah's a relative newcomer in the whole trad woman conservative influencer space, and she put out posts like this one when she got engaged. This is from August of 2025. She writes, "I won," along with a picture of her engagement ring. And as you can see there, Charlie Kirk, who was actually an honest and wholesome person, responded, "Congrats, marriage is amazing." Lots of people responded that way. Makes sense to respond. Someone got engaged. It's a happy thing. You say congratulations. Then there's this post from Sarah Stock, which she wrote in November of 2024. Quote, "The idea that women are waiting until marriage, who are waiting until marriage are doing it to manipulate men into marrying them so they can leave and take all their money is kind of schizo, in my opinion. You probably have a 0.01% chance of that happening. Anyone who's going to be a forever bachelor and never procreate because they're not willing to take that risk, especially with a woman they love and trust, is NGMI, not going to make it. Waiting till marriage also has statistically better results for the marriage." And 6 months later, in April 2025, Stock announced that she had converted to Catholicism. Stock wrote, quote, "I'm officially Catholic." And then she wrote, "Ave Christus Rex," meaning Hail Christ the King. And then here's her photo with her husband receiving the Pope's blessing. Now, I'm not prepared to say, as many have, that her conversion was a scam and she never meant anything she said. It was all a big ruse. I can't say that. I can't see inside her soul. Only God can figure that out.
Yeah.
It's perfectly possible for a person to profess a certain belief and hold that belief and yet act contrary to it. And we all do that to some extent because
Yeah.
we are all sinners.
But
And yet it's
not
also
that
clear that
grave
Sarah
of an
was
extent.
also putting together a carefully crafted image. Before she was engaged, she appeared on a podcast in which she claimed that she would abstain from sex until marriage, in contrast to some other women on the panel who openly admitted that they were extremely promiscuous. Watch.
Every decision leaves
Oh
a
my
mark.
God. Why do you have to do this to me, you stupid ads?
Grow with you.
You're also religious, correct?
Yeah, I'm a Christian.
Are you waiting until marriage?
Yep.
Have you always waited till marriage?
Yes.
You both are virgins, is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
No shame, just
Yeah.
okay.
Right
Cool.
as I said yes.
What's your body count?
8. 4. I can give like roundabout
Sure.
like 120.
120, okay.
4.
4.
8. 0. 0. 0.
Whoa.
That's
Okay.
a lot of virgins.
Jake.
Surrounded by purity here.
Yeah.
I feel it rubbing off on me.
Now, the point of showing you this, all this stuff, is not to gawk at the destruction of a marriage or to gossip about lurid details, of which there are plenty in this case. We could fill a whole show full of those details if we wanted to. We won't. Instead, I'll simply say that Milo Yiannopoulos has alleged, with a substantial amount of evidence, that Sarah was in fact sleeping with her boss, Elijah Schaefer, who runs a small conservative media company called Rift TV, up to the moment that she became engaged to another man named Will. So in other words, the allegation is that Sarah was cheating on her boyfriend and future fiance with her boss, who was a married man at the time with children. His wife is now divorcing him, apparently. And the allegation is backed by an audio recording, which Yiannopoulos obtained, though it's not clear how. No reason to play that here. There, you can listen to that if you want to online. There are other allegations, even darker and more depraved, that have been made, in which I certainly can't substantiate. In response to all these allegations, Sarah didn't issue any kind of specific targeted denial. She didn't dispute the accuracy of the claims being made exactly. Instead, she posted the following message to her account on X. It says, quote, "A lot of what has been said about me is completely untrue. That being said, there are mistakes, unwise decisions I've made that I deeply regret. I have sinned. I apologize to everyone who has been scandalized by this. Please pray. Logging off now." Shortly afterwards, Sarah deleted her account entirely and deleted, I think, her other social media accounts as well. Now, if you follow this scandal on social media, you'll see that most people, as expected, are talking about it with a sick kind of glee and satisfaction. But we should never find satisfaction in the sins of others, especially when there are real victims involved, spouses and children. So the point is not to gloat. I have no reason to anyway. I have nothing personally against anybody involved in this scandal. The point is that this story is not the exception. It's not happening out of nowhere. There's nothing aberrant about it. As we talked about yesterday, Elijah Schaefer's behavior is all too common among some men, and Sarah Stock is all too representative of how some women, though certainly not all, think and behave these days. These types of women, they don't see men as potential husbands to whom they will devote themselves or for whom they will be a loyal and loving helpmate. They see men as tools they can use dishonestly for a specific purpose. I consider the fact that, as of the most recent data, roughly 70% of divorces are initiated by women. That's according to research from the American Sociological Association, but plenty of other sources agree on that point. In fact, the number rises to between 80 and 90% when you only look at highly educated women. And here's a quote from the American Sociological Association, give you an idea of how they frame the data. Quote, "Study author Michael Rosenfeld, an associate professor of sociology at Stanford University, found that women initiated 69% of all divorces compared to 31% of men. In contrast, there was not a statistically significant difference between the percentage of breakups initiated by unmarried women and men. Women seem to have a predominant role in initiating divorces in the U.S. as far back as there is data from a variety of sources back to the 1940s, Rosenfeld said. I think that marriage as an institution has been a little bit slow to catch up with expectations for gender equality.
What?
So that's how left-wing academics present the data. They blame marriage for being a little bit slow to catch up with expectations.
Excuse
They don't
me?
blame men for cheating on their spouses because, according to the data, that's not what's actually driving the high rates of divorces initiated by women. But they also know they can't blame women because every academic, without exception, is forced to embrace feminism as a religion. So they settle on blaming the institution of marriage itself, which, ironically enough, is exactly the same conclusion that many anti-feminist red pillars come to, just by a different route. And yet, if you ask women, they'll tell you exactly why they're getting divorced. If you take a look at the data, what it tells you is that the primary reasons that women give for divorcing their husbands include that they feel they aren't getting enough attention, their husband is holding back their career, that they, quote, grew apart. In other words, the woman got bored.
Wow.
And like Sarah Stock, apparently, they wanted to try something new. And they convinced themselves that there's nothing wrong with, giving another man a try.
What?
And there's nothing stopping these women from walking into a courtroom, telling the judge they're bored, and taking 50% of their husband's assets.
That's
along with alimony.
ridiculous. I think this
Even
is
in conservative
ridiculous.
states, they can get away with that. They
Wow.
can seize your home. They can seize your retirement account. They don't even have to lie about what they're doing. Yeah, that's where the law is right now.
Wow.
Among other reasons, this is a major problem because marriage is directly tied to the continued existence of civilization. Plenty
Yeah,
of data shows,
yeah.
as you might imagine, that marriage is directly linked to fertility rates,
Yep.
which seems pretty obvious. If we want to reverse population decline, then encouraging young people to get married is the way to do it. But it can be a tough sell for young men as long as the law remains so archaic and so obviously rigged against them.
Yeah,
So why haven't any conservative states abolished no-fault divorce? Or at
exactly.
the very least, why haven't more states abolished the idea that women are entitled to 50% of their husband's assets, even if they've been cheating on him the entire time?
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, in the vast majority of states, whether they're community property states or not, a woman can cheat.
Can you believe this? Come here for a second. I want to get your opinion as a man. As a married man. Okay. So there was this influencer who was a conservative Christian who apparently converted to Catholicism last year in August. Okay. Then she gets married. And then this year, apparently a huge scandal came out that this influencer was actually cheating on her boyfriend before he was her fiance, while he was her fiance, and while they were married with her boss. And it's like a huge scandal. And on both sides, they're running with it in different directions, saying this is why men don't want to get married now. And feminists are saying this is why the conservative movement is such a freaking performative, inauthentic religion. They're trying to push all this marriage stuff when they're actually hypocrites and adulterers themselves and all this kind of stuff. How would you go about a situation like that? Like, you're with this woman who's made money from being a conservative influencer, who literally put herself out there as this wife, this faithful woman, this helpmeet, and then all of a sudden you find out that the whole time she was sleeping with her frickin' boss.
Break up with her.
And let her take half of your stuff?
It has to be like that.
Yeah.
She signed the prenup.
No.
What?
She gets half of your stuff.
Why?
Because you're married.
But that's a prenup. Did she sign the prenup?
There's no prenup.
That she could nothing.
What are you talking about? There, in the law down in the States, she gets half of it. It's called no fault divorce.
That's bullshit.
I know.
Then I would stay and suffer, but I wouldn't be around her much. I'd be like, you go do something else. I'll take care of business. Go fuck off somewhere. And wait till she dies. And then laugh because she didn't take any of my money when she died.
So that's how you would deal with that.
Yep. I give this bitch 50% of my earnings, and I can give her nothing. But just keep her happy for now. Buy whatever you want, whatever. Better than taking 50%. Live your life. Live happily.
Your reward is with you.
Right.
Love you, baby.
Love you.
Yeah, I think that would be the best way to go about it too. Because I would not give her a fucking red fucking pretty penny. Nothing. I would not. If I was that man who actually believed that she was in love with him and she did all this stuff and he invested all that time in her and he invested all that money in her, and then to find out this, no, man, I'd make her stay in the marriage and suffer every single day knowing what she did to me. Every single day I'd pray over her. You know, I'd wake up in the morning and she'd be waking up to me saying, Lord, bless this woman who you've given me. Give her a good day today. Bless her and all this stuff. I do that because guess what? As I am doing that, I will eventually forgive her because that's what will happen. But her, she's going to feel that. That's going to be a dagger in her heart every single day. I'd go about it like that. Same if it was the reverse roles and it was my husband who did that to me, okay? So let's say I'm well, you guys know I am. I'm a conservative Catholic woman, and I do vlogging, podcasting, blogging, all that kind of stuff. I even make like devotional materials on Etsy. Anyway, aside from all that stuff, let's say I found out my husband cheated on me the whole time as we were married, okay? I would not divorce him. I don't believe in divorce. Even if it is for adultery, I don't believe in divorce. So what I would do is, instead, I wouldn't give him anything from me. He would be like just a roommate that I live with, right? I would treat him well. I would still do all the things that I'm doing for him now. I'd pray over him. I'd be gracious to him. I'd help him with his finances and all that. I would do all those things for him. I just would cut out all the other intimate stuff that would be a benefit of marriage. You know what I mean? And I would just live until one of us died, and then his reward would be with him. God would punish him in whatever way he deems necessary for the crime that he had committed against me. If I was faithful and I was doing everything that I was supposed to be doing as a faithful biblical wife, and then he went on to cheat on me, God would reward him for exactly the crime that he committed. Vice versa. If my husband was faithful to me and then I was unfaithful to him, God would reward me in the accordance of my crime that I have committed. And I think that's the same thing that should have happened here. I don't think that her husband should be divorcing her and allowing her to take half of everything he has. I think that is the worst possible recognition for this kind of thing. It's literally recognition. It's giving her validation. It's giving her prestige, like privileges that she does not deserve. You know what I mean? It's sick. It's sick. Okay, let's continue.
On her husband and still receive half his assets. Now, there are exceptions, including Texas, but this is the norm, and that needs to change. In most cases, women should get $0 if they initiate a divorce. In most cases, they should get nothing.
Yeah.
In fact, in many cases, they should be fined for wasting the man's time.
Yeah.
That's not a punitive solution. It's one we obviously need because the current system is pathological and treat adultery as a criminal matter. And I see no evidence that our approach is in any way superior. or brings about better
It
results at
is
all.
a crime. It's a crime.
You know,
And
it's tempting to
so
think that
it should
reversing this
have
entire
a
system is impossible,
criminal
but it's not. And more to the point,
offense
there's reason to
and
believe that in
consequence
general,
for it.
conservative women, in general, are much less of a danger on this front. Take a look at this data from the U.S. General Social Survey, which was republished by the Substack Age of Infowars. It shows that the average number of children that are being born to left-wing families in the United States is declining significantly, and significantly more rapidly than the number of children who are being born to conservative families. In other words, left-wing birth rates are falling far faster than conservative birth rates. Conservatives are presumably involved in more stable and fulfilling marriages, the kind that aren't ended early due to an affair or a deceptive spouse or anything like that. So
Right.
when you hear about falling birth rates and the collapse of civilization, you should know that the people who want to destroy civilization are going to destroy themselves first. And while that's not necessarily an ideal state of affairs, it's, better than the alternative.
Yeah. I hate ads. I hate them. 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 Why?
And when you zoom out even wider, there's some other interesting data in the latest statistics on birth rates. According to preliminary 2025 birth rate data compiled by the CDC, which looks at the mother's ethnicity, white non-Hispanic birth rates have actually increased
Wow.
over the past year and now account for more than 50% of all known births. Meanwhile, births from virtually every other race and ethnicity have declined sharply, which is a big change from recent years. And that includes Hispanic births, Asian births, Black births, Pacific Islander births.
That's incredible.
The implication of this data is that foreigners aren't replacing the Native American population to nearly the extent that they were under the Biden administration. Closing the border and deporting illegal aliens has had a direct effect. It's reversed the demographic change that Democrats have been trying to engineer. Imagine what these numbers would look like if conservative states decided to actually do something to encourage even more marriages. That doesn't mean providing more welfare or handouts. There's plenty of evidence that, from the Nordic countries, which have a lower fertility rate than we do, that more welfare doesn't produce more children. And more welfare definitely isn't guaranteed to provide more stable family units, as the civil rights era demonstrated in this country. What's needed is a rethinking of divorce law and the contracts that young men are being asked to enter into. And now, with all
I
that
agree. There should be a prenup.
said, how could I, after acknowledging these serious pitfalls, still promote marriage and family life? What's the upside?
Because marriage
Through all the downsides, pretty grim.
is a holy thing. It's
How
a
could it
sacred
possibly be
thing.
worth it, given all of that? That's the question, and it's a fair one. I saw a recent clip of Andrew Tate posing this exact conundrum, as he has many times. Here's just the latest example. Watch.
How big of an idiot is a guy that doesn't get a prenup?
How big of an idiot is a guy who gets married?
Oh, my girl is over there, my boy.
Yeah.
She's waiting on that.
Well, I'm sorry, but
So are you suggesting that marriage is out of the picture?
what do you gain? Non-emotional, like there's men who get married and they go, it's important because I love her. If you want to make emotional decisions, if you want to enter the world of emotional decisions with women, if you want to roll in the mud with a pig and lose, then that's fine.
Yeah.
But as a man, it's your job to be logical. And I'm sitting here saying, I'm not anti-marriage. Just show me what I get.
Yeah.
You're asking me to agree to give away half my stuff if I argue with anyone at any point in the future forever.
Right.
You agree, I'm sitting here, I'm going to pay a whole bunch of money so her uncle can eat a lobster dinner. And I'm going to be publicly humiliated all over the internet when her ex-boyfriend, who's silly, laughs that I'm walking her down the aisle in her white dress. Okay, cool. So what do I get? And the answer is, well, you get a wife. I already have a wife. I already have her.
You get a couple of years of happiness, a risk of divorce, risk of losing your money, and maybe some kids.
Yeah, well, I got kids anyway.
So it's a fair logical question, but the premise behind it is not fair.
Yeah.
I've already acknowledged that those of us on the pro-marriage side can sometimes be too quick to discount the possibility that a young man gets married and winds up humiliated, betrayed, and broke because of it.
Yeah.
We sometimes talk about marriage as though the divorce rate were 0%. On the other side, though, people like Tate talk about marriage as though the divorce rate were 100%, as if no couple in history has ever managed to stay faithful and monogamous till death do they part. He treats the potential downsides of marriage as guaranteed and the upsides as if they don't exist at all, but they do. And in fact, on second thought, the question, what will I get out of it, or what do I get out of it, is not entirely fair. I can't say what you will get out of marriage because I can't look into your future. I can't control for every possible factor. I can't force you to choose the right spouse, nor can I force you or your spouse to do all the things in a marriage that are necessary to keep it stable and happy. Most of the time when a marriage falls apart, it can be that there's one clear bad guy who did something destructive and was betrayed the marriage. That can happen. Usually when a marriage falls apart, it's because you've got two people and neither of them were doing the things necessary to keep it together. And so I can't control for that. But I can say what you can get out of marriage and what a great many men, billions throughout history, including myself, 15 years in with 6 kids, have gotten out of it. So what you can get is the love, fidelity, and lifelong companionship of a woman who you love and who is devoted to you and to whom you are devoted in return. What you can get, what billions of men have gotten, are children you love and who love you, who carry on your legacy, your bloodline, and your family name. You can have a family that is stable and whole, one that gives you a sure sense of purpose every single day of your life, a family you live with and share your life with and serve and lead and raise. Okay, so you can get love, meaning, purpose, and legacy. That's what you can get. It's not an emotional argument because those are not emotions. Those are real things. Those are nothing less than the greatest things life has to offer. So what can you get out of it? I don't know. The greatest things in life is what you can get. There's nothing greater, nothing that can bring you more joy or make your life more worth living.
It's true. I would not trade my life with Gana-sama for anything on this planet. I would not. I love my life with him. And we've had our ups and downs, and we've had struggles, and we've had like difficult seasons, but we're solid.
Everything. But it should also be said that as men, our concern should not be only what we get. What do I get is a fair question. And if the answer were nothing, then you shouldn't do it. But it's a fair question. It should not be the only question. You know, Tate says he has kids anyway, so he doesn't need marriage. But, okay, well, what would his kids get out of him being married to their mother? Well, they would get a stable household with a father who's present every day, leading, guiding, and teaching them. Now, it's true that you can have kids without getting married. Plenty of people have done that. But all of the studies, all of the research, all of our experience as human beings show us that children are in a far better position with far better outcomes when their father is married to their mother and present in the home, providing not just financial support, but a daily example of how to live. I mean, all of the evidence shows this.
Yeah, it's like psychology
That's what your kids
101.
get. Well, what do they get out of you sleeping with other women and refusing to be a stable presence in the home? What possible benefit does that bring to them?
Instability.
What do they get?
Low self-esteem.
Life as a man, if you want to be a great man, you need to be motivated by more than just a quest
promiscuity.
for what you get. There has to also be a sense of obligation and duty. That's what's driven every great man in history. You know, Tate talks a lot about escaping the matrix. But the question, what do I get, all by itself, will not lead you out of the matrix, but deeper into it. I mean, in many ways, what do I get? The single-minded quest for pleasure and personal gain is the matrix. What the matrix is. If you want out of it, you need to ask not just what you get, but also what are your duties? What are your obligations?
Yeah.
What's your purpose?
Yeah.
What should you do? Now, if we zoom out even further, who else stands to gain from you getting married and having children with your wife, who you're married to? Well, I mean, everyone does. Civilization itself. You can't pretend to care about the future of Western civilization while making a choice and promoting a choice to not get married, not have children. That if everyone made it, would result in the extinction of the very thing you claim to want to preserve. I'm not saying that your primary motivation for getting married should be the preservation of Western civilization or the continuation of your bloodline. Like, no human being is going to be foremost personally motivated by that. But these are benefits, and they're really important ones. Why should we get married and have kids? Well, if we don't, civilization collapses, the human race goes extinct, and nothing matters because nothing will exist anymore. That seems like a relevant point. It's not irrelevant, and it's one that the anti-marriage side of the argument never addresses. You know, if every man, so this is the thing, when you hear these commentators and influencers making this point, and they're pointing to things like this scandal we're talking about, saying this is why you don't get married. Well, if every man followed your advice, human society would disintegrate. And that strikes me as a pretty serious flaw in the plan. I mean, it strikes me that a plan must be bad if full adoption of your plan would bring about the annihilation of the human race. So it seems like that can't be a good plan. It's like, we could talk about what a better plan is, but it can't be that. It can't be the thing where if too many of us do it, everything collapses and everyone dies and there's no more humans left. And yet, yes, there are still risks. There are risks I've already acknowledged. Risk that you can't protect yourself from with 100% certainty. But you can account for these risks to a very significant extent. You can put laws in place to account for them, like we just talked about. And in lieu of those laws, or also in addition to calling for these kinds of policy changes, you can account for them personally. You know, it is possible that a truly sociopathic, devious con artist could scam you into getting married to them while expertly disguising their true nature. That could happen, but in the vast majority of cases, there are extremely obvious red flags that someone is untrustworthy and disloyal. Flags you can pick up long before marriage if you're paying attention. Yeah, things like if she's spending a lot of personal time with her male boss or any other man, for one thing. As soon as you're dating this woman, she should no longer be maintaining any kind of intimate personal relationships with other men or spending any one-on-one time with other men at all. And if she's doing that, that's a problem. And if you express that it's a problem to her and she's not willing to give that up for you, leave. That's all you need. You're gone. If she seems to enjoy the attention of men who are not you while you're in a relationship with her, that's a red flag. If she's an e-girl begging for attention online all the time, that's a red flag. These are all things that are fairly obvious. And you can identify them and suss them out if you keep your eyes open.
Boost.
In most cases. Okay, which is why a lot of cases like this, when something happens and someone ends up, man ends up married to a woman and she betrays him, you'll find, since we're talking about anecdotes, like you'll find very often that the man is shocked and appalled, but a lot of people around him are like, yeah, I'm not that surprised by that. It's terrible. I'm not that surprised because, like, even the people on the outside could tell kind of what this woman's all about, and if they could tell, then you also could have told.
Like you've been wanting to learn now. You
Yeah, well, not all women are that easy to read, if you know what I mean. Like, I could just tell you, I could tell you from experience that there are some women who can, like, hide it so well, right? For instance, a narcissist could hide it so well and then make you feel like you're the crazy one when you find out. You know what I mean? But there are red flags, like he said. having too many male friends, allowing male friends to like flirt and not like put them in their place when you're clearly in a relationship or clearly going to get married or you're in a committed uh, future with someone, you should be putting your foot down and being like, you can't call me that, you can't say those kinds of things to me, you can't talk to me in that kind of manner, blah 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 blah. We're just friends, right? And if they refuse, like many of mine once upon a time refused, they would eventually just, unfriend me, block me, whatever, because I would not entertain their flirtations. And it's the same way with women. Women shouldn't be flirting with my husband, and my husband shouldn't be flirting with them. And so he doesn't have any like female friends that are like overtly like flirtatious that I have ever seen. And I've never seen him be flirtatious with other women. So that was a very big distinction, and we keep those boundaries because we know that they can cause discourse, they can be a foothold for Satan, and we don't want any of that kind of stuff in our relationship. We don't want that kind of poison in our minds. We don't want that kind of resentment in our hearts. We're literally guarding our hearts and minds from Satan when we do those kinds of things. Now, is it possible for men and women to be friends? I think so, but in a healthy way, it should have a great open communication that I am married, I am happily married, I'm not going to come to you telling you bad stuff about my husband. You're not going to come to me and tell me bad stuff about your girlfriend. We're not going to bond in that way, and we're not going to rely and lean on each other in that kind of way at all. You have your guy friends for guy time to, complain about girls and their problems. I have my girl time where I can complain about married life and what I have to contend with. That's where those boundaries should stay. Does that make sense?
And yet risks do remain, even in spite of that. I
Bless
acknowledge
us
that.
the Lord,
But
and
here's
whose
the
I guess
thing.
each brother receive
There
the
are
bounty through
also
Christ the Lord.
risks
Amen.
on the other side. Risks to rejecting marriage and family life. And I don't just mean the risk of civilizational collapse. Andrew Tate says he doesn't need marriage because he can get any woman he wants and have a bunch of kids and financially provide for all of them. And that may be true in his case. I still believe he and his children would be better off if he were married. But how many men who take that advice will end up with a life that even vaguely resembles that? 0.1%? Less? I mean, the reality is that the vast majority of men who don't get married will not end up with a harem of attractive women. They'll end up alone, lonely, no wife, no children, and little in the way of financial success anyway. Because most people are not financially successful. Most people who reject marriage will die broke and alone anyway. That's not merely a risk. For many, it's the outcome they're actively choosing. And they choose it because they fear that if they do get married, they might end up broke and alone. And they might, but choosing a bad fate that is almost certain because you fear a bad fate that is merely possible is, you want to talk about logic, illogical. Now, does that mean that a young man or woman should rush blindly and recklessly into marriage? No, there are risks involved. Again, acknowledged. Change laws, put policies in place that reduce those risks and offer greater protections against them. But anything worth doing involves risk. And if starting a family isn't worth doing, then what is? For almost every man, fatherhood and marriage are a vocation given by God to lead, provide for, and love his own family. And you shouldn't let anything or anyone scare you away from it.
Amen.
Now, you can avoid the Sarah Stocks of the world by abandoning the very idea of marriage. And if you're a woman, you can avoid the Elijah Schafers by doing the same. But years from now, when you're on your deathbed, surrounded by no one, with no one to mourn you, and no one to carry on your legacy and bloodline, or even place flowers on your grave, will you feel relieved that at least you were never divorced? Will you be happy about the chance you didn't take? Or will you wish that you had given yourself to someone and created a family that would outlive you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there would be
Because
a
what was
lot of
any of it
regrets.
for, if not for that? Now let's get to our 5 headlines.
All right. So I wanted to do that one, and then there's another one I wanted to go over. Where is it? Oh, oh dear. Okay, I'm going to get the next video going, but I have to quickly go to the washroom and then I'll come back, okay? Okay, I'm going to get this one going and then I'm going to be right back because I have to go to the washroom real quick, okay? So first I'm going to click this so that the stupid freaking ads can get over with. And then I will pause it and then I'll be back. Okay, perfect. There. All right, be right back. All right, I'm back. All right.
Get into the things and the stuff, and we will kick it off not with a hours-long info session about Nancy Guthrie, but with just a few minutes of the summary of the updates, because I know you watched hours and hours of coverage, hoping that there would be like some sort of revelation or relevation, as Candace would like to say.
There was no relevation. It was just like round and round. I was like, listen, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not, because I would be devastated, freaked out. It would be the end of my world if this were my mother. And I get it. I totally get the devastation. But like the round the clock coverage by Fox, it's a little weird, you guys. Like
It's a little odd.
There's other stuff going on in the world. Is it just me? It's probably just me. Maybe I shouldn't point it out, but I'm doing it because that's my job.
I mean, it's just a lot.
Well, it is a lot, guys. It is a lot of coverage.
And then, yesterday the police, they held another presser with an update for the world. And essentially the presser was to say, we don't have any suspects. And that's like a literal quote. They said, I know there's been a lot out there about suspects. I want to be clear. At this time, we have not identified a suspect or person of interest in this case. We have nobody of interest or any suspects that you would consider a prime suspect. We're just not there yet.
Right.
That's what they said.
So maybe don't cover it 24/7. Like,
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's on in the background. I'm like, okay, so if you're covering it the whole freaking day, maybe have an update.
Maybe there's something of substance to add to the conversation.
Right.
Alas, there was not. Now they did show, they had like this graphic up at their little press conference of the timeline. The only reason that we're sharing this is just to kind of revisit that idea of the pacemaker app. It does show a disconnect from the phone, which essentially probably just means it's because she doesn't have her phone with her. So there
What's
would be
this
no
about?
way for that to be tracked. But in any case, they released this timeline, which I think most everybody kind of was at least marginally.
What's this
What
about?
we talked about the other day. So the Trump FBI announced a $50,000 reward. And so, you know, as we talked about yesterday, President Trump is being super helpful.
I don't even know what this is about.
That person has.
I'm gonna skip this because this isn't like something that I want to listen to because I have no idea what that was about. Sorry.
We want to hear from that you have.
If you want the money deposited into a way to trace,
You got to do that.
Letter. And
Taking it seriously enough to discuss it at today's press conference. Of the two deadlines, and you out that the have been.
I don't know what this is about.
What super weird and blows minds. FBI reading the letter from the family by the mom.
Families, and they say you got. I don't freaking
know that if you need is so.
My daughter's gym. Plus, as we age, sugar.
All right. Sorry, I had to erase the other because it was just a bunch of me just skipping through. So, I finally found what I was looking for.
Oh yeah, I'm watching you. She literally says in the clip, "We're watching you."
I mean, it's freaking creepy, and that's just one. That's just one example. So before we get into the first bit of crazy, because yesterday's show, and I did not watch the whole thing. I just watched enough to get the gist. But the whole show was essential, or most of it was an open letter to Erica Kirk. And so and this was interesting too, because she started to read the letter that she wrote to Erica on like her own little laptop or whatever notes were in front of her. She started to read it then. And then about, I don't know, 4 or 5 sentences into the letter, she starts to read it clearly on a teleprompter because there's no way she had her open letter to Erica memorized. Right. And so all these rumors that I have heard about the fact that her shows aren't necessarily live that just made me think about that because she read it the same way that she talks through any of her shows. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I do.
It was just interesting. So what she admitted in this letter to Erica was that Charlie lied to her, and that is the reason she left TPUSA.
Yeah,
because Charlie lied to her, and
called him a liar.
She tells the whole story, and I'm not going to show the whole story because it takes way too long. But the gist of the story is that Charlie went to have a fundraising meeting without her, and that was very atypical because they used to go to those meetings together. She found out about it. I don't know how. She was super mad. She asked him if he had met with such and such fundraiser dude. He said no. And she called him out in the moment. She was like, yes, you did. You met with him at Mar-a-Lago yesterday. And then like they had a big fight about it, had it out, whatever. So she talks about that in the letter. And she essentially tries to blame Erica for being in his ear and for being one of the people that was newly influencing him at this time. And then she tries to say that Erica is the reason that she is currently being attacked.
Yeah.
The projection and the Darvo and like the shift of blame is unreal.
I think what really bothers, listen, I mean, we all know she's blaming Erica. She tries to put Erica in this position of, oh, she had something to do with Charlie's death. But now she's attacking Charlie's character and calling him a liar. Come on. Like, what are you doing? At this, just stop. That's where I'm like, I'm out. She is, I mean, I knew she was crazy before, but when you start going after Charlie, stop.
And then she does it, and then in the next breath continues to say, I'm the only one that's really grieving him.
Bullshit.
If he only would have listened to me, he would be alive today. All this other nonsense.
Stop it.
Here is I mean, I've condensed it, but I gave you the background, so now you can hear how just a couple of little moments from that screed that was almost the whole show.
And I think that you very well know what the truth is. If you were around for it, is that Charlie and I had a disagreement which fractured my trust in him. He did something that he had never done before. He lied to my face. Charlie had new people in his ear that were hijacking his ambition, making him believe that money was the truest measure of success. You were the newest and biggest influence in Charlie's life. You kind of all arrived at the same time. And you too, Erica, you lied to my face. Every single evil thing that was done to me was done with your blessing. And I consider the onslaught of attacks that I had to endure, they were evil.
Holy frick, man. Like, really, Candace? I can't even believe this. Like, I thought this was... I thought it was AI. It's not.
Describing herself as the one that's being attacked is
Victimized.
so insane.
She's
Right.
narcissistic.
She doesn't see how insane it is.
This is clear narcissism, is what it is. I'm the victim now. Narcissism is a real thing, Anne. It is. Like, and we're watching it in real time. I hope Matt Walsh is like super stoked to be representing Catholicism with this lunatic.
Right?
That's precisely what he's doing. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen anything. I've not read what he is he
Nothing
talking
yet.
about this?
I looked last night and there hadn't been anything.
Yeah, I just wow.
Yeah. So she goes on to, and we talked about this, that Erica is calling for full transparency, cameras in the courtroom, all the things. Okay. And so she's been making some rounds on news programs talking about that. And Candace played a clip of Erica talking about that and then just said that she doesn't believe her. This is crazy, you guys. This is full on crazy.
The facts on the table for you guys to see, and you guys can see on full display what happened to my husband, and there is no ifs, ands, or buts or confusion as to who did it and why.
I don't believe her at all. That wasn't convincing. I don't know what was hard about getting that sentence out. That seems remarkably rehearsed. It almost just seems like she forgot a line. Nothing in her eyes there makes you believe it. She's telling the truth, but beyond the eyes, just the actions, right? You can judge people by their actions. Erica, if she truly wanted more transparency, she could provide it.
Yeah, we can judge people by their actions. We can totally do that. Your actions speak so loudly. I cannot hear what you say.
Oh my God.
Good Lord.
And then listen, I don't know if this is true about Charlie. All we have is Candace's word for it. Both of them, she claims, were able to do astral projection. So that seems...
Wait. Is that the same stuff that what's her name when she
Marianne Williamson?
Marianne Williamson.
Correct.
She did astral projection on her little moss pad, and like she'd talk about what are you even saying right now? What is happening?
I'm just gonna let you hear this clip because this is you think you've reached peak crazy, but then there's this.
Oh dear Lord.
Charlie and I spoke a lot about his third eye. That's why that sentence caught my attention in the article. We spoke about the street lamps that would go off when he would run, about the special school that he had to go to. We spoke about a lot of the things that were strange in our childhood, the testing that both of us had to endure. We spoke about the fact that we could both astral project. You know all of this, of course. You have his phone. And how surprised we were when we learned that not everybody does that naturally. Sleep paralysis, you name it. We had conversations about it.
She really thinks that she is something, doesn't she?
You know she does when she makes that face where it looks like she smelled something super sour. You know what I mean? Like, well, she'll go,
yeah. Yes.
When she does that face, you know it's on.
I am so much better than all of you. I am above you. I am an alien being. I'm an alien construct. I can astral project.
And so could Charlie. And lights would flicker when he ran by them.
When he ran
This is all
by
real.
them, it's like lights were exploding everywhere, guys. You didn't know that? What the F is happening?
I know. Like, that's why I was like, there's no way that we can't talk about this today. This is too juicy.
We have to, you guys. Come on. We're all friends here. This is some bullshit.
It's absolutely crazy. So, and you said at the very beginning of the segment that she is threatening and being very, very sinister. This is what we're talking about. This is crazy, you guys. There are going to be bunnies boiled. Okay, there's no. I mean, and by the way, she hates bunnies.
She does. Well, I
She
mean,
hates bunnies.
does
She's
she
on
like
video
dogs?
saying that.
Does she like dogs? She's a cat person, isn't she?
She's probably a cat person.
I think she's a cat person.
She probably has so many naked cats.
Oh my God!
Probably
Right?
has all the naked cats.
Mhm.
Anyway, I don't know what kind of animals she does like. How do you hate bunnies?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
like, what kind of person says that up? But she does. She's on
I
video
think
saying that
we
she
know
How can
the
somebody
kind of
hate a
person
bunny?
that astral projects. You know what I'm saying?
and who makes sinister, threatening things.
I love
like this.
bunnies.
By the way, I forgot to mention, Erica, if you could do me a favor. Doug DeGroot, that board member that announced you as the CEO, made it really biblical. Could you send him my regards? I know he was meeting with Mikey the other day. They were discussing how to invest money. But it's so weird. Mikey didn't straight from high school, was just Charlie's like an intern assistant, and now he's sitting down with board members and discussing how they should invest into restaurants. Just send him my regards because we're everywhere. And we're watching and we're listening.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
creepy.
freaking creepy.
That is creepy AF. She
Oh my God.
has no girlfriends. None.
Well, Brett Cooper. They're like
Except
for thieves.
Well, that. Like I said, she has no girlfriends. She doesn't have any real
You
girlfriends.
guys,
know what I mean?
that's super creepy. To
Really
say
weird.
we have eyes and ears everywhere, we're watching and we're listening.
That's
The
creepy.
only reason that you say something like that is to strike fear
Yeah,
and
to threaten.
terrorize Erica Kirk. That's the only reason.
Yeah, my dogs didn't like that. I didn't like that whole clip.
Maybe that was Candace astral projecting into the dog.
She was probably projecting. They don't like it.
They don't like it.
Nope.
For those of you like
Sorry.
me who have been wondering, whatever happened to the Egyptian planes? And like, wasn't France trying to off Candace? Like, wasn't that a whole thing?
That's right.
Yeah, I was waiting for that
That's
to come
right.
out. Like, what
She's
happened
so
with that?
important, you guys.
She's very important. And didn't she promise to have like a very thorough spreadsheet on her website?
Yeah, I've been
of
waiting
all
for that
the
too,
Egyptian
man.
plane information? That was weeks ago.
She did promise. Well, she's promised. There's been. I mean, I can't keep track, but yeah, she has promised a lot of things that she's not kept her promises. Yes.
And that she's not followed up on. So people, I'm sure there's a lot of her fans even that have been like, whatever happened to the Egyptian planes? She did mention them yesterday, but it was in the weirdest sort of psycho laughing kind of way. Here's how she did it.
France is very involved. My instincts were correct. And how they get there while following the Egyptian planes. LOL. Ha 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 ha. Right, Erica? Nobody from Egypt. Yeah. What about Israel?
What?
Okay.
What does that have anything to do with Israel?
What about it? What about it?
What?
Okay.
Oh my God. Candace, you freaking lost your mind. I'm sorry.
So there's a moment in this next clip. I promise we've only got 2 left and they're quick. But there's a moment in this next one where she talks about how her strategy is to lead people on enough so that they'll keep coming back for her content. Because it was very, very smart strategy on her part to title her show yesterday An Open Letter to Erica Kirk. It got more views than a lot of her videos have in the last several years. And so in this clip, she talks about how it is a strategy that she releases breadcrumbs. She doesn't just say what she knows. She doesn't tell you everything in one fell swoop. She just likes to leave little drips and drops. So she talks about that in this right before she says, buy my merch, which I just thought was so perfect. And in this clip, she looks insane in this moment that you'll see where she says, I'm not an idiot. Just like that. Okay. So there's so much going on.
Oh my God, I almost died.
We're going to figure this out. If you know something, more tips at CandaceOwens.com. I have so much more for you guys. I have been slow playing this, obviously, because they wanted to pressure me to put everything out instantly, but I'm not an idiot. I need to know every single person at that company who betrayed Charlie. I need to know every single one of them. I need to know the good guys and the bad guys. And anyways, what I have to show you guys next week is just going to completely blow your minds.
Oh yeah, sure. I bet. It's gonna blow our minds that there's not gonna be anything except conjecture a timeline that you made on a freaking
deal.
uh WordPress.
Erica and Justin Strike know exactly who Pierre is.
No, a
Justin's
Word
been
document, and then like an Excel sheet, and then oh yeah, and your dreams.
You know, you can go to canzones.com. You can buy new kits, gear, your merch. Always
Gotta get the merch, you guys. Gotta get the merch. I'm not.
Lord have mercy.
Unreal. Oh my God.
Not be ignored, Dan.
And very excited to announce that she has introduced a new word that she cannot pronounce. So very, very excited. Here is the latest in the list. I feel like I want to start writing down all the words, like to keep a list. I know there's that account that keeps releasing these videos, but I feel like we need a running list.
Yeah. Yeah. Some sort of
And this
index,
one,
if you will.
This one will be added.
Charlie was a brilliant fundraiser. Everybody knows that, but he was also young. He was naive. But you didn't do it when you lie. You didn't do it out of naivety.
What? Naivety? Is that what she said?
Yes.
Naivety? This is punking us now, right? I mean, that's what this is. This is not real. This is not real. Or maybe
It's naivety.
Is an astral projection of a person at this point. That's just, they don't know how to say words. This astral projection. What is even naive? What?
That was real. That was real. She said naivety.
Okay, all right. Okay, it's very macabre is what it is.
It is. A lot of macabre stuff going on here.
Macabre.
All right, let's get to some fun things. This picture absolutely cracked me up. You guys probably...
Okay, I'm sorry. I had to play that because these girls, they're so great. Like, I really like chicks on the right because I don't know, they're like they're like me. They look at a situation and then they find like a silver lining in it, and they can laugh about it, like instead of being all like doom and gloom, they do what I used to do with Donna-sama. We used to, do these kinds of things where we make up parodies and stuff. Like, I come from the generation where parodies was like a thing. You know what I mean? Like, what was it? Robot Chicken parodies. You know? Kids in the Hall parodies. Things like that. Come on, man. I come from that generation, so I do that a lot with like basically everything. I'm just like, I do not understand what is going on with Candace, but she does need prayers, y'all. Like, I'm serious. There's something going on there. Now, I am not going to be on the same bandwagon as most people because I know that some of the stuff that she's talked about is real. Like, for instance, astral projection. I used to do that. It's real. You can do that. Let me tell you, it's scary. You don't want to do it. I've had lucid dreams, which is another form of astral projection, where I was walking down the stairs of my house and I sat and I watched my husband and my son sleep, and I just watched them for like 10 minutes. Then I got up and I went back upstairs and I laid back on the bed, and then I don't even know if I went back to sleep or not because it was a lucid dream. It wasn't like a real thing. It was an astral projection kind of thing where I was lucid and I could touch things, I could walk between things. Like, it was very vivid. It was very strange. Not like a regular dream. You know how you don't remember how you got somewhere or how you get back from somewhere? And then I remember front to back. I got off the bed, went downstairs, came back upstairs, sat on the bed, and laid down. That's what happened. And usually, dreams aren't like that. And yeah, so I had other experiences too when I was a pagan. and doing witchcraft and things. And then also when I was in the new age stuff and I was trying to awaken my kundalini, as you guys remember. If you've been following me for the last, like, I've been on social media since 2009, and I believe I started vlogging in 2013. Yeah, 2013. So if you've been around since then, you've seen all of the progression of like what I've gone through and what I've experienced and what's been going on, and all the way up until now. So you guys know that I've talked about that kind of stuff before, and it's not like unheard of. I think that this current secular world that we live in, the fallen world that we live in, wants us to believe that there is no such thing as this and that, because then we can't actually formally or like spiritually connect to the spiritual in God if we don't believe that there's something spiritual and magical beyond whatever our boxes are saying. You know what I mean? They have put us in a strict box. There's no such thing as magic. There's no such thing as power. There's no such thing as this. There's no such thing as that. And if you speak outside of those kinds of things, you're kind of a kook kind of thing. And I think that that was done by design so that you are separated from the supernatural and the spiritual, because if you're separated from those things and you think that it's not possible, then you're more than likely never going to reach the level of spirituality where you can actually feel the connection with God. You know what I mean? So I believe that that's why they do that. And I fully believe in the supernatural and spiritual because I've witnessed it, I've experienced it, I've gone through some things. You know what I mean? I've seen things. I've like some scary things. So I'm just letting y'all know that that stuff's real, that kind of stuff. And that's why it's so compelling and why everybody keeps coming back to Candace's episodes, is because she puts truth in her bullish. You know what I mean? She puts the truth in there. And that's what makes it so compelling, because it's not like things that people are talking about right now. And she has this huge platform, and why not? I mean, like, for instance, I was thinking today when I was listening to one of my sermons, the sermon was talking about Job and how Job was a righteous man, but he also was a sinner, obviously, because everybody sins. But he was a righteous man before God, and yet God did all this evil to him and allowed Satan to do all this evil to him. Well, God didn't do the evil to him, but he allowed evil to happen to him. Anyway, he allowed all that to happen to him, and he didn't have any idea why it was happening to him. He just knew that it couldn't have been God doing it. You know what I mean? And he was right. It wasn't God. God was allowing it, but it wasn't God who was doing it. And so God vindicated him later, thankfully. But when I was thinking about that sermon of Job, I was thinking to myself, how many times in the Old Testament was something supernatural happening that nobody could explain? And how we would probably explain it away today, like a donkey talking, or like Jesus multiplying loaves of bread and fish, or like bringing the dead back to life, or healing a leper, or making an arm grow back that was withered. How many of us would be like today, that's impossible, that's not possible, that never happened? How many people would say that that's impossible, nothing like that could happen? But yet the apostles went out and did those kinds of things. They did those kinds of things after Jesus went to be with the Father. The apostles did those things. What happened to that kind of power in the church, in the body of Christ? What happened to that kind of power? Obviously something happened. We got disconnected. We got disconnected from that supernatural spiritual power somehow. Now, some of us still have it, but yet we question it, we doubt it because of the way we had to grow up and the way that um, the restraints are around us, keeping us in this box. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, me, I have dreams and visions. I don't talk about it, and I don't like broadcast it or be like, this is what I've dreamt and this is what I've seen, and then all of a sudden you guys see it happen and you're like, oh, she is a prophet. No, I don't do that because I know that if that did happen, if I did do that, which I kind of did, um, just before 2020, I said in 2019, something terrible is about to happen. I feel it, something catastrophic. I saw things in my dreams, and I told y'all the dreams that I had, like people reaching up, they were sick, they were reaching up, and people being shot in the streets, and like people in hazmat suits walking around, and there's bodies everywhere. Before 2020, that's what I had a dream about. And I told y'all that, and then 2020 happened, and some people remembered that, and they were like, oh my God, do you remember you saying this like a few months ago? I'm like, yeah, I remember. And then they were like, wow, how, I think that you were really psychic then. Why did you turn to God? I'm like, because how in the world could I have seen something like that and not believe God gave me that warning? How could I see that stuff and not know that it was God telling me, hey, wake up. It's time. I need you. Wake up. So he woke me up. You know what I mean? And I've shared with you guys videos about that. I think during when I did the documentary, the 5-part documentary that I did on YouTube, I shared screenshots of conversations I had before 2020 happened, before what happened in Australia, even with those uh, quarantine centers. I shared what I saw in a dream. And surprise, surprise, it happened in Australia, of all places. Crazy how I saw it and then it happens. These things are real. God does speak to us, and God does give some of us certain gifts. Now, I'm trying not to like, boast in it and be like all loud about it, because in our world today that would just, it would fall on deaf ears. You know what I mean? So I don't really, I write it down. All my journals are going to go to my priest when I'm gone. I write it all down. They'll be able to sift through it and figure it out, and the church will interpret it the way that the church is going to interpret it. Who knows? I'm leaving that up to God. I'm leaving that up to my priest. Other than that, I'm just trying my best to just fulfill what God has ordained me to fulfill here on earth before it's time for Jesus' return. My mission is clear. I have to teach and preach women how to love their husbands and their children, how to keep the home, how to be keepers of the home, how to have a very close and loving relationship with Him. And these things are so important now, more important than anything you could ever even imagine. And so we have to guard our hearts and our minds, and we have to guard our peace, because there's going to be so many horrific things we're going to see and hear, and we have to be solid in our walk with Christ, in our prayer life, and we have to be able to withstand all of the bombardment we're about to go through, because in the Bible it says that He makes war with the saints to wear them out. Well, what does that mean? That means that they're being harassed. How are they being harassed? They're going to be harassed mentally, physically, emotionally, all kinds of ways. So we need to be prepared for that. We need to be armored up in the Lord. We have to be prayed up in the Lord. We have to be solid in what we believe and what we think. We should have the scriptures in our minds that we can go through. I have breath prayers based off of scriptures so that when something is trying to like tempt me or control me or get me into a resentment or some kind of like anger or any sin, I start my breath prayers. Jesus, I trust in you. He restoreth my soul. And I do that as many times as I need to. It works, y'all. It works. You could even use other ones. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He is my refuge and my stronghold. He leads me beside still waters. You can pick any psalm, any proverb, any scripture. It's important, you guys. And I'm only saying and doing this because it is that important. If it wasn't important, I wouldn't be saying or doing things like this, but it is important. I need you guys to understand that. I need you guys to understand that the Word of God is alive. It's alive, and it's the only living word on this planet. It's the only one that when you read it, it is changing you as you're reading it. It's the only book on this planet that can give you peace by just reading it. The only book. Like absolute peace. Not just like, oh, I love this book. It's so wonderful. I love to read it like my anime series that I like, but not the same kind of peace. You know what I mean? Like I have peace when I'm reading it, but it's not the same kind of peace. I have this overwhelming relief when I'm reading scripture compared to when I'm reading a novel about romance. You know what I mean? So get into the Bible. Find some sermons that you enjoy hearing. Watch daily mass online. There's lots of channels that do it. Excuse me. I believe the Vatican does a daily mass live every single day. Twice a day, I believe. I have to go check. But yeah. All right, so I'll see you guys in the next one. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I love y'all, and yeah, just guard your hearts and your minds, you guys. It's something that we should be doing like vigilantly. You know what I mean? Vigilantly. All right. I love y'all. I'll see you in the next one. God bless. Later for now. Um,